This is Dan Tortora here at American Kickoff, and I'm here with the commissioner of the American, Tim Pernetti. Tim, how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you in Charlotte.
Yeah, good to be here. And I have to ask, why Charlotte? I mean, I've loved the city for many, many years, but why decide to have it here this year?
Well, as we looked at Media Day, we want to get around a little bit more, and I think that has a lot to do with how we build our brand. And in reality, in the American is we have a lot of great markets, a lot of big markets, but we also respect what the media does, guys like you do. So we wanted to make it a place that was easy to get in and out of, that had a big airport, and also a city where we had a home institution and we had relationships. And the other part too was making it easier for our media. Is, ACC Media Day happened up the street a couple days ago. I called Jim Phillips about it. We spoke, and Jim, who's just a great partner, said, come on down. Let us introduce you to some people. We'll get you set up, and the whole city has just been incredibly welcoming.
Is that something to think of for the future, to have those relationships with other conferences and say, if you're doing your media days around this time period, maybe it's good for us to kind of have it around the time where, media can stay in the same city?
I think it's going to be something we constantly explore, because media is, people may think different things of the media, but to me, they're the storytellers that shine the light on the league. So I want to be as accommodating as we possibly can. And if you're covering Football Media Day, you could spend a month on the road, right, at 5 or 6 or 7 different places. So bringing some of these things together where you have a little overlap and making it easier for you to spend one more day in town and get 2 knocked out, I think is just smart business.
And I would agree with that. You talk about smart business, performance-based revenue sharing. You brought this up in your address today. Just what that looks like for the American, and why you felt like that was important to not just have revenue sharing, but have it be performance-based.
Well, I think in our league, excellence is something people expect. They're not worrying about being good, they expect to be great. And as part of it too, we want people to expect it, earn it, and then we want to compensate them for it. And a lot of it has to do with non-conference scheduling. In football, as you look at football, you look at what Tulane's doing. Look what they played last year. Look what they're playing this year, and in Duke and bringing Northwestern in. So, a lot of that has to do with creating more brand profile for the conference. But when you have success, being able to benefit from that success. The NCAA tournament stuff is the most obvious, where you're generating units that are money to your league. Yeah. The schools that are generating those units should be the beneficiary of something significant. But I think it sends a very strong message to the league that performance and investment, and quite frankly the guts to get out there and schedule, have a financial reward.
And when you talk about financial reward, you decided as a conference you didn't have to, but you chose to opt into the House settlement. Why?
It wasn't a discussion or a decision. We were always going to opt into the House settlement, and the revenue sharing component is the most important part of it. Why? Because we've consistently invested in student athletes, and this is just another opportunity to do that. Yeah. And not only doing it, but putting our minimum investment program in place, where every institution has to invest at a minimum level. So we're holding everybody accountable that if you're going to be in this league, you're going to invest at a certain level, and that if you have the ability to do more than that, then that's your prerogative to do. But this was never a discussion. It's not like we met and said, "Oh, should we opt in?" It's like, when is this over so we can opt in and get on with it?
And when you look at the model, we hear that $20.5 million and the steady increase and whatnot. What does that look like for the American? Because you said there has to be a minimum, and there's no real maximum. Like you said, if you can invest more. But what does the number look like for you inside of the American?
It's going to look different in different places, but what I would tell you is I don't think there's anyone that's not going to invest far more than the minimum over this 3-year period. And it's not because it's a competition, it's because everybody understands the value of investing in student athletes. Investing in student athletes, creating culture and stability, it's never been more important. And things like the transfer portal have to be modernized in order to be able to positively contribute to that as well.
And you bring up the transfer portal. I am not a proponent of the fact that having the open when you have it, and you brought it up in your address, which I completely echo the sentiments of, to have a portal open at the end of the regular season, during bowl season and the college football playoff. I was speaking with coaches that didn't have players because they were in the portal, so they were still on the team and they were on the sideline, but they weren't going to play in the game. Mm-hmm. So, and then we have, after the spring game, we've seen how many can leave, and a coach to recruit and have everything ready to give a playbook to all these players. What if 20 people jump into the portal after the spring? What is that coach supposed to do in the summer to be ready for the fall? So what can we do? Do we need just one window? And when should the window be, I guess?
I think we need one window. As you think about football, it's obvious. You need one window, you need it at the right time of the year. December is not the right time. And there's been a lot of discussion and back and forth on, is it after spring football? I think some coaches are for that, others are not. Everybody seems to be focused on an early January window, and that seems to be picking up some momentum. But, you nailed it. Transfers are a threat to a lot of things, right? They're a threat to team culture. They're a threat to coaches trying to build programs. And quite frankly, they're a threat to the student athletes because all the constant movement de-emphasizes commitment, right? And college athletics teaches us so many things. Like, you can learn so many life skills traits by competing in athletics, but if you don't spend a lot of time in one individual place, you can't really maximize the benefits to that. And, quite frankly, things change, like coaches change, your family situation changes. So giving student athletes the ability to transfer without consequence, I think, is reasonable one time. And then beyond that, maybe we should have some measures in place that provide at least a period of time for student athletes to properly evaluate and be thoughtful about their decision.
Right, and you look at transferring credits and how you can ever completely transfer everything over, and you want to make sure people are getting degrees as well. The college football playoff, the model we have now is the 5+7 rule. There could be a 5+11 rule if they went to 16. How important is it to keep the automatics, and does it have to be at 5? And would you like to see ultimately the overall be at 16?
I think that the 5 automatic bids for the 5 highest ranked conference champions is a really good element of the playoff, right? Because it guarantees 0 to any conference, right? You have to win your conference championship and then hopefully be one of the top 5 to be automatically in the playoff.
Right.
Our position has been the same from the beginning. We want to preserve our access and we want the ability to earn more. The only way to have the ability to earn more is if you have a robust at-large system. 7, 9, 11, I think it's too early to call that. I think we should be careful about artificially inflating the number just to make more room versus making sure we have a number that puts the best product on the field.
And I would say about the American Conference and covering this, and you and I have spoken about this on and off the air, but been covering the conference since before there was a name and a logo. You just decided to do a brand upgrade. We'll call it with
modernization.
Modernization. So when you're modernizing this, you are keeping the A in the American, but we're getting rid of American Athletic. We're getting rid of AAC. As you have spoken about, Soar the Eagle is now a part of this. Built to Rise. There's a bunch of different elements to what you're doing. Why was it the right time right now to do this modernization and to be on the offensive and not the defensive of saying, amidst all this chaos, we're going to really say who we are, and we're going to have multiple, because everything that you've done for people to take a look at it, this wasn't something thrown together and it wasn't one element. There's so many layers to it. So I want to know why now and why do what you've done.
It took a year. Actually, at Football Media Day last year, I think without much of a plan, I just kind of put it out there that we were going to take a deep dive on the brand. And listen, a brand is more than a name, and it's definitely more than a logo. And we have a terrific primary mark. You mentioned it, the A. We have the terrific primary mark, and we felt that there was brand equity in that. But as we talked to our ADs, coaches, administrators, we talked to like 500 people. We did surveys, interviews. Everybody had a different point of view on what the brand meant, which means it didn't really have a definition. So the exercise was, how do we become clearer, more concise, have a little bit more power in the marketplace, more visibility, and improve our competitive position? And simplifying to American Conference was the easy part of it. Figuring out what you stand for, that's where you really spend your time. Innovation has been a primary foundational piece of this conference from the beginning. That was easy. If you get out and watch football in this league, it's just a tough-ass league. So grit became a real easy one. And by the way, it's not just about football. And service is important because service is something that should be part of any brand. Like, we get to do this. You love what you do. I love what I do. Kids love to play. Coaches love to coach. But we should be leaving something behind for everyone, right? We have fans and supporters and everybody behind us. What are we doing to serve them? So the important part of the brand coming out the right way is making sure that it's clear and that people understand what it stands for. And we had a great rollout. The visibility on this thing has been far beyond what we expected, and we're really excited about the rollout. We're excited about SOAR, the eagle, our new symbol, and
Yeah.
how that's going to turn into a content creator and a commercial asset and a community leader and all of these things. So it's really an exciting moment in the history of the conference.
And for you to be leading this conference now, you have had a year under your belt. What have you learned about the conference, about the climate, and about yourself?
The conference is built on great people. And I think that's in any business or any organization. It's hard to be great without great people. When I say great people, I mean low ego, roll up your sleeves, willing to do the work people, from coaches to ADs to presidents to all the way down the line.
Yeah.
That one in particular. What I learned about myself is that I don't know what I don't know. And, I came into this with a lot of ideas. I also came into it with, some thoughts on how to attack certain things. But I think the best trait I can continue to, exercise this muscle is to make sure that I'm well informed, right? And really getting a wide view on the industry, who we are as a conference, our institutions, before making any decisions. But I've also learned that this has been, I've had more fun than I thought I was going to have. It's been chaotic and dynamic, but it's such a great time to be in college sports because all this change is happening around us, and this is going to really set us up for the next 20 years.
Yeah, you've definitely come at a time where there's plenty to do, plenty to think about, but at the same time, plenty of opportunity.
Correct.
With that being said, Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the American Conference here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we thank you for watching and listening as always, and we thank the city of Charlotte for being a great host. We'll talk with you soon.